From 6 to 8 p.m.
Now, it's hard to believe that it's already 20 months since the loss of Jerry Kiernan to the world of Irish athletics, the Olympic marathon runner, of course, and commentator and Kerryman and athletics coach. He died at the age of 67 just in January 2021, and we decided to take a look at some of those who've taken up that mantle of representing Ireland at international level, and they're all Kerry people, of course. And tonight's show, we're really excited to bring you the very, very best of Kerry. You see, keeping it all best of Kerry. Now, when we talk, of course, of world cross country, of course, famous names like John Tracy come to mind, especially winning the world cross country in 79 in atrocious conditions. And even though they're a modern time, we remember Sonia O'Sullivan winning that double in Marrakesh. Of course, the weather was much better there in 98. Fionnuala Britton, of course, now McCormick with those gold medals at the European Championships in 2011 and 12. And of course, there's a great history of cross country here in Kerry. I don't think hasn't been a child that hasn't been introduced to the field and left off and made run around the place and survive as quick as they can. But one of the women, of course, that inspired a lot of people was Maureen Harrington of Kinmare, and of course she ran for Ireland in 7 World and 7 European cross-country championships between 93 and 2002. And of course that brings us on very nicely to our first 2 guests here this evening, brothers Kieran and Seamus O'Donoghue. We were told they were Kinmare men, but the secret is out now. They're Kilgarvan supporters. Yeah. And they have a unique, I suppose, this year was absolutely unique because both of them were representing Ireland at cross-country at international level. One of you got a silver medal. Which one was it?
That was myself.
Absolutely. That was myself. Where did you get it? Where we were running, and let listeners know about the race.
I was running over in Wales. It was a relay, and it was
cross country, of course.
It was cross country. There was 2 boys and 2 girls. Each athlete ran 1,000 metres, and we all ran in the same course. It was a fairly flat course, and there was just a small bit of a hill in the middle ways of it.
Of course, you'll be well used to hills out in Kilgarvan running.
I would, of course, yeah.
So it was no bother running a flat course.
No.
What was it like getting picked for Ireland? Because you represented Ireland at the international schools home nations, which is a huge, huge honour, really. How did you get picked, first of all? And we'll say, when you got to Wales, was there a case where you got to meet your teammates, and did you do a bit of training and all that?
I got picked because I ran in the All-Ireland and I came 10th, and it was the top 8 qualify for the actual cross-country race, and then 2 qualify for the relay race. And then I got called over to Wales, and when we were over there, we got a plane over to Birmingham and then got a 3-hour coach over to Swansea, and then we ran the race over there.
So we got a free holiday as well?
We did, yeah, for 2 days.
What was the race like?
Oh, the race, it was very intense because I picked up the baton because I was the last runner. I picked up the baton in 3rd place, and there was a Wales lad about 10 metres in front of me, and I went to try catch him, and
chase him down.
I did. I had to, and with about 100 metres to go, there was a downhill, and so I kind of kept on his shoulder, and then once I reached the downhill, I made a sprint for the end, and I kind of left him for dust in.
Bless you.
Yeah.
You got home time for the cows.
I did, yeah.
And that was the most important thing. And of course, you helped your team to win a medal, wasn't it?
I did, yeah. Silver.
What was it like getting that medal? I mean, it's a medal representing your country. It's not kind of a community games that you ran down the backfield in Kilgarvan. I mean, it's a real big honour, and it's real. Did you understand how important that was when you won it?
Oh, I did, yeah. Very important. I was very happy because all the lads there, when I was running, the whole time they were cheering me on, the whole Irish team, so it was great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Are you the best runner in the family?
I'd like to say I am anyway.
Well, we'll talk to the other brother because he thinks he's a bit better. Kieran, of course, you were just off a podium in your international meet. Explain to us the race that you ran, and where was it?
Right, so my team was 4th, and there was 2 Irish teams. There was an A team, and then there was the development team. It was in Belfast, up in the Northern Ireland, and it was 6 kilometres. So everyone had to run 6 kilometres, and then we were all left off at once. But one disadvantage I had, because I'm only 15, I was under 17, but we were running with the under 23s, I think. So I was running with some very experienced runners, such as Dean Casey and them lads.
Yeah.
So they're obviously.
So they took off 1,000,000 miles an hour. I mean, you're 15. When people to explain to people, of course, your category was 17, but you were running in a category where they left them all off together. What was it like at the start line when they all went off in a big gallop? And I presume under 23s run a lot faster than under 17s.
They do, yeah. It was a bit of a shocking, to be honest with you, because I thought I didn't think it'd be too bad, because at the start it was quick enough, and then it kind of slowed down. And when you go up a hill, and when you went down the hill, they just
Left you for dust.
left us for dust.
Whereas your man was coming down the hill with the follow down, he was gaining, you were falling a bit behind. The race itself, were you pleased the way it went for yourself?
To be honest, I'd like it. I wouldn't say I was pleased, but I'd like to go a bit better, because I'd say I was more shocked than anything when I was running with the under 3s. It kind of gave me, I was kind of surprised, but I kind of did my best, and it was what it was, I suppose.
But sure, I mean, you ended up just off the podium in 4th place. It was a lot more than what it was. Cross country running, very quickly, what's the attraction for you?
I suppose my father was always running. He is 2 All-Ireland medals, and he's an international medal back in 82.
Yeah, you kept that a secret, of course, until you got to the show that your father ran an international as well. Is that medal on the mantelpiece below in Kilgarvan?
Oh, it is.
Oh my God, okay. So that's the inspiring bit in the house.
That's the inspiring bit of the house, yeah.
Until you get one.
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
Or your brother gets one.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll both get one.
Yeah.
Now, another girl, of course, who's on the phone, and she's got plenty of medals as well, a little bit older than yourselves, is Nivo Mehani. Nivo, of course, running through Nivo. I mean, Nivo won the All-Ireland Cross Countries in 2019. She placed second in the All-Ireland Schools Cross in 2018. She won the 3,000 metres at the All-Irelands in 2018, 2019. It goes on and on and on forever, Niamh. Are you delighted that you're adding to your long list of wins, Niamh? And tell the listeners when you got your first green jersey.
I got my first green jersey in 2018 for the Schools International in Nottingham for cross country, and that was a big shock to the system. Like I'd say I'd been running about half a year, and I happened to get good quick. So to be in a race with like on an international scale, it was a big shock. Yeah. But the team came second, so it was a good first experience, I'd say. Absolutely.
And of course, you were starting off, I suppose, you try a lot of other events, but what was it that brought you to cross country, the sport itself?
I was always into the swimming with Kingdom Swimming Club. And then I just happened to get a dog that was a bit crazy. Right. And he wasn't into walking on the lead, so instead of training him, I went running with him. And then my friend in presentation secondary kind of forced me to do the schools running, and I kind of fell in love with it. And especially cross country, I loved the mud and the hills more than running on a track in circles. And I kind of took off from there then. Yeah,
it's a very different world into the cross-country running. Like you're on about the mud and going up down the hills, and of course it's kind of mostly winter time as well. The training for cross-country, I presume it's very different to the track, obviously. How would you approach the training for cross-country, Niamh? Apart from walking your dog.
I just you kind of up the mileage a bit for cross-country, and more on, like, we do it in the fields, like, usually back home I'd meet on Saturdays and Tuesdays with the React women down in St. Brendan's Field, and we do our sessions in a field, and I'd kind of focus my training on just higher mileage and like just not really training on a track. Like the only difference would be I wasn't really sure what I was doing really, like I was just making it up as I went, but I'd only go on the track then coming into track season, so I'd mainly focus on running in fields for cross country.
Yeah, well, there's nothing at all wrong with it, because you started scholarship in Providence, Rhode Island. What's it like to be the newbie over there? Are you settling in?
Yeah, it took a while. Like the first few weeks I was really missing home, but everyone over here is like really nice, and the coach, Ray Tracy, he's Irish himself, so like it's grand. Like you have Irish people over here. There's a lot of girls who are from Ireland as well.
Yeah, he's a big name now, Ray Tracy.
Yeah.
Or is he?
Him and his brother.
They're
really good in their days. But,
absolutely. What's the story for you now? Obviously, you're settling in over there in Rhode Island. It's a long way, of course, from Unreal. What are the facilities like over there?
It's amazing, totally different to Ireland. Like, I mean, like, they just have all the top quality recovery things. Like, they have the cryotherapy chambers, like flotation tanks, nap pods, all like stuff you'd be thinking of back home, like that you'd be paying hundreds of euro for. But like here, it's all paid for, so like I can't really complain. And like transport and everything sorted out. I have food for me paid for. It's a dream, really. Like.
God, the two Kilgarvan boys here are made to go to college in Rhode Island already. They'll do their exam. Come here, Niamh. What's the competitive action like over there when you get running for the college? I mean, cross country is a lonely enough sport, I'd imagine, for an individual. But I presume when you're in a college setting, that there's lots of people training together at the same time.
Yeah. Every day we train. We meet up at 2:30 and we go training like all together in a group. We like travel to races together. Like it's more of a team kind of thing over here. Like it's about getting points, which is great because you make friends like through it, and you're all kind of supporting each other, which is different back home because like, you know, when you're from Kerry, like you're kind of you're by yourself, like there's not enough for a team. Like so here it's just different, like everyone's together. And yeah, it's totally different, but it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, totally different and really good. I think that's a great way to end that. Niamh, listen, thanks for joining us all the way across the water this evening on that phone. It's fantastic. You're doing fabulous. And look, we're going to follow your career all the way through. And you know what? It's going to be an exciting career, no doubt. And it's also going to be an exciting career here for Kieran and Seamus O'Donoghue. Those two boys are battling away to get a medal to put on the mantelpiece with their father. That'll have to stay there till they get there. So listen, guys, thanks very much for joining us.
Breaking down the weekend's sporting action. This is Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry.
Now joining us on the line, I'm delighted to say that I have Killarney's AC's Sarah Leahy, who was a member of that, of course, Irish women's 4x100 relay team who competed in the World Championships in Eugene, in Oregon. And of course I have Grace Lynch as well, of Ivor, who recently, it's a year now, I suppose, maybe competed in the European 10k Cup. Obviously it was last May, and she's in current training, of course, to take on the big jump up to marathon running as well. And we'll talk to her maybe in a couple of minutes. But Sarah, last time we were speaking, you just come off the back of that national championships and you were jetting off around Europe for your little mini tour. But speak to us about the experience of the World Championships. I mean, what was it like rubbing shoulders with the biggest names internationally? I mean, you know, it's a great bubble to be in, and we were watching it on television at all hours of the morning, admittedly. What was that like, first of all, before we talk about the race itself, Sarah?
I suppose the first word that comes to mind when people ask me is it was definitely surreal. But now I suppose it's kind of a month or two later, it's kind of it's sank in a lot better. But even when I'm on like Instagram or Facebook and I see the races of like Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price and like the 100 metres, 200 metres come up, it's crazy to think that I was actually there and I actually competed. So it is so crazy for me, and being actually there with the top athletes such as Shelley-Ann, Andre DeGrasse and all these just Olympians, even training beside them, and it was just crazy, really. I enjoyed every second of it. It was amazing.
Do you get the urge to kind of run over and say, "Geez, I'm really you're my hero, and will you give me an autograph?" Or do you remain professionally, and you have to do your own thing, obviously?
Well, I got to see the back of Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price, but we were on the way to the call room for the 100, so for the relay, so I couldn't go over and say hello, but I wish I did, but I just didn't have time. I was next to Elaine Thompson, but I was too shy to say anything. And then I'm actually a huge fan of Femke Ball as well, the 400 metre hurdler in the flat. And after seeing her in about 3 different countries in Oregon, I finally got up the courage to say hello, and I got a picture with her.
Oh, very good.
I was very proud. Fangirling, always on the inside anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Come here, the race itself in Eugene. I mean, how would you prepare mentally for a relay? I mean, obviously, when you run your own 100 metres, it's just the one job, get from A to B. You obviously have the baton here as well. The team, I presume, changes over time as well. Girls come in and comes out. Is there time to practice that before a big event like that, or is it just kind of that you chat to each other about it?
I guess, well, mentally you do the best you can. You're always preparing as if you're going to run, even if you don't, because if you are called upon, you're ready to do the best job you can. And I suppose the relays, especially with the 100 metre relay, it is very, very technical. Like, running is the easy part. It's getting the baton around as smoothly as possible is actually quite difficult. It's what winner loses your race for you. I suppose in relation to the team changing and stuff, it can be quite difficult because like when you train, when you start running depends on how fast or slow the girl is running into. And obviously these girls are top class, they're very high speed. So you need to know exactly when to start running, not to run too soon or too late. And with that, in Oregon, I was the anchor leg, which means I ran last. But it was such a high competition there and against all these countries like Jamaica, Canada, France, etc. It was actually crazy. That the hard thing is to keep your head and your eyes in your own lane, not to get pressured to run off too soon just because you see everyone else going. So it does take a lot of practice and trust in the other girls, which you always have, because they're there. You're there with them for a reason, and they're there for a reason.
Yeah, and you, of course,
it does take a lot of practice.
Yeah, you mentioned American, Jamaican, and Team GB and the top Europeans. Ireland are in that 16 now. I mean, how have we got to here? I mean, obviously a lot of hard work, but there's an awful lot of talented young women athletes, particularly sprinters at the moment. Why is that happening?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I suppose we're very lucky, I suppose, for the girls that are there and the men and just all the athletes in Ireland, that we're getting the good training. The people are putting the time in to train, and the facilities are getting better. Like in Dublin, obviously they have a load of facilities. We now have track in Clarny Valley and all this. And I guess it's just the interest as well, and the publicity has kind of grown a bit, and people are more aware and they're more interested in actually getting involved. And even with athletics, there's something for everyone. There's throws, jumps, sprints, long distance, and I suppose it is good that the sprinting has come up a lot, because I suppose back in the recently enough, we were always kind of a country that were good for the distance. So it's definitely good to bring in sprinting talent, and that people are improving and getting the recognition that they deserve. But why they've improved, I don't know.
Did you ever think of doing a marathon, Sarah?
No. I tried running when I was smaller. I tried a long distance, and it was just never for me. It was never in my legs.
Yeah. Grace, you must be totally envious of Sarah. You know, she just rocks the track and all her work is done in 10 or 11 seconds and off home. You've 35 minutes odd for your 10k workload, and of course you're building up to the marathon as well. I'm interested, of course, talking to athletes tonight about how do they find their particular event. Grace Lynch, I know you a long time, way back in the days back in South Kerry, where you were probably running up and down that little mountain to your house. I mean, how did you transition from athletics, in particular, into long distance?
Yeah, I guess it happened over a long period of time. It's kind of, I suppose, years that I've been on this journey now at this point. But I suppose I've been working with my current coach for the past 4 years, and I've always kind of been tracking towards the longer distance. That just suited my physiology as well. So I love it as well. It's what I love to do. It's where I feel kind of most comfortable and most confident, and it lies to my strengths.
You're currently transitioning up to the marathon. You ran one already, probably in Berlin, and a couple more as well. It's an event that I love watching at the Olympics, and I suppose I love watching it for all the wrong reasons, because I like to see the little bit of suffering and the little bit of resilience and how runners kind of deal with it at different stages. Is that what makes marathon runners a little bit different, that they're willing to kind of put themselves through a little bit of torture and a little bit of pain and come out the other side?
Yeah, I definitely think, I'm actually competing in Berlin this weekend for my second marathon, but I definitely think it's definitely an event that you need to have a certain personality type for. You do need that resilience, that kind of willingness to just go through the motions, put in the long hours, the big sessions. And a lot of it is, it's getting in the mileage, but doing those big sessions and looking after yourself as well. So you definitely need that resilience to just keep trucking through. And I think that's kind of what's gotten me to where I am today is, just the love of the sport, first of all. That's, I suppose, brought me to where I am now, but just being willing to just keep training, keep enjoying it, and got me to where I am now.
And of course, your own role is more than just love the sport. You're working with Athletics Ireland Regional Development Officer in the Midwest and the South as well. What's a day in the life of Grace Lynch like, workload?
Yeah, it's definitely something, you have to manage when you're trying to train full time, and then you're putting on a full-time job as well. It's great that my colleagues, they totally understand the kind of, I suppose, training that I have to do day in, day out. So it's nice to be in an environment where people understand that. So that's been so great to have such a support crew around me. But yeah, you definitely, it's something that you have to manage. There's times when I can be in the car for 3 or 4 hours during the day, depending on where I'm going out to clubs. So yeah, it's just something I'm always have to be conscious about and trying to be as strategic as possible, I suppose.
Absolutely. And of course, look, standing back, I suppose, and looking at the sport from the outside, Grace, it's in a healthy state. Could it be in a better healthy state, or is it still just struggling along?
Yeah, I think, if you look at all the championships that we've had this year between Worlds and Europeans, and even Keir McGeehan, one of our, I suppose, star athletes at the moment, we've had some incredible performances across all of the disciplines, from the throws to the sprints to the long distance events. So I think we're definitely in a great space at the moment, and I think the power, I suppose, is within us now at the moment, and to keep pushing it forward and make sure that, I suppose, it gets the recognition that it really deserves. People put in, not only volunteers, but the amount of hours the athletes have to put into this to get themselves to where they are today is huge. So it's definitely in a great space, but there's still a lot more to do, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, you're going to be doing plenty of that work, Grace. Fair play to you. One quick question to you, Sarah, coming in from our comments. What plans has Sarah for the new season, and when can we see her run? Wow, fair play. Clarny caller, hardly your mother, is it? Probably not.
It probably is, yeah. I'm very excited for the new season because this year everything is kind of new for me. I just moved up to Dublin and my boyfriend. I started a new job at Winthrop Engineering, and I'm starting with a new training group and a new coach. So I'm very excited about all that as well. I suppose for the next season, I definitely have high hopes. I want to continue to train hard, and I'm going to concentrate on the indoor season. And I think that will be after Christmas. So I'm very excited and hope to run new great times.
And Grace, are you going to win the Berlin Marathon next week?
I wouldn't say win now, but yeah, I suppose the last 12 weeks of training have been pretty intense, so hoping now to put in a good performance this weekend and push on from that then again.
Absolutely. Well, look, the very best of luck to both of you. It was great having you on this evening, great to highlight. I suppose we started with the younger crowd, and we're kind of moving our way through. We're senior athletes and we're moving on to more of them as well. Grace, keep up the good work. It's fantastic what you're doing there for Athletics Ireland as well as Regional Develop. And Sarah, keep up this good sprinting. Okay, hopefully we can watch you in the World Championships again, and I don't have to get up that late to watch you. Hopefully it'll be sometime in the middle of the day or somewhere. It'll be a lot easier. But listen, thanks very much for all you're doing for Kerry Athletics, and the very best look.
From the sidelines to the stand, Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry.
Now we're flying through. Earlier we spoke, of course, to Nivo Mehani. She's relocated to the US, and another Kerry athlete getting used to life in the US is Tralee man Oisin Spillane. He's also moved to Arizona for a college placement. Oisin, the last time we spoke to you, I'm nearly sure you were knocking the life out of the 5k course at the Tralee Park Run on a Saturday morning. Is that time of 15:44 record still yours, Oisin?
It is, yeah. I hope it still is when I get back, but it's still mine for now.
So you're going to encourage the whole of Tralee to get out there and beat that now next Saturday morning, is it? 15:44. It's a fair run. Come here, how has Arizona been for you? How have you found it and how have you settled in?
It's going good, yeah. Here about a month now. The first couple of weeks are definitely tough kind of settling in. It's a very different life over here, but kind of finding my feet now and settling nicely, getting into the routine. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Brilliant. And of course, we talked to Niamh about the facilities. What are the facilities like for you over there?
They're great, yeah. I suppose first off, the location is perfect. It's in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is up at about 2,200 metres above sea level. So a bit of an altitude camp for a couple of months, and so just kind of trails and everything in all directions, and get used to the gym and the track and a lot. So it's a great place to train.
Ideal for running. Come here, a question that of course hit me straight away with the Americans. How are they responding to your name?
That's definitely one change, right? I think I've repeated and spelled my name more times out here than I have in my life up to now. But kind of comes with it.
Yeah. Come here, what was your pathway into the sport? I mean, you're obviously Tralee Harriers. I mean, when did you take up the running with Tralee Harriers?
So I think I joined the Harriers around 2017. That was kind of my first time doing a proper track season, and they're the local club, so just went down and been racing with them for a few years now. So Yeah.
Of course, making the grade at national is difficult, but you got to wear that green vest as well. I mean, when was the first time that you got your Irish invite?
Yeah, so made the debut this year in January at the Celtic Cross Country, running the under 23 category. So yeah, it was a good introduction. Right, the race itself was fairly tough. I only just come back from COVID, but it was a great kind of learning experience. Kind of shows you where you need to be at to compete at that kind of a level, and just kind of go up from there.
And is that, I presume that's a great learning experience. I mean, getting to the line and getting off the start and kind of surviving your way through a race like that. I mean, it's massive for the learnings for the sport, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And just like over the course of the weekend, talking to some of the guys on the senior team as well, just kind of guys who have years of experience over you, and it's about what you can learn from them and what you see, and to kind of take yourself to the next level as well.
Mm-hmm. And we'll say the next level, what are the targets for you now, Oisín, over there? I mean, obviously you probably have a roster of races planned and all that with the college, but how busy will you be running over the next couple of months?
Yeah, so I'm not so sure yet because I'm just on an exchange program. So the college over here, Division 1, they kind of recruit people and stuff, so I'm not sure if I can join them for their actual races, but I'll be training with them, and if a local race kind of pops up, I'll hop into that. But the main target is probably when I come back, kind of the indoor season in 2023 and some road races and things like that. So.
Fair play to you. You'll have a lot listened. Thanks for joining us this evening. Hopefully that record of 15:44 stays, which I'm going to ask a guy here now, Oisín Lynch. He credits himself as the fastest under 17 anyway, runner at his grade. Listen, Oisín, thanks for joining us this evening. Explain your sport, and you've done something massively unique, of course. You've knocked the life out of your personal best as well. What was your personal best? What is it now, and what's the sport you're running in?
Yeah, look, I'm running in track and field. My distance is 800 metres. I would have started off at the start of the year by running at 2:05 at the National Indoor League. At the time, I suppose that was a good enough time, like considering it. Like, I was happy enough with it. I started, kept the training up, increased the training, came out in my own age for the National Indoors, and I ran a 2:04 heat and qualified to the final, and ran a 2:03 final. So. Look, I was kind of close to the 2-minute barrier then. I was and that was with 2 races, so I kind of said, if I give it one go with just one race, I could be close to the 2-minute barrier. And, at the time again, that's a cool thing to do as a young lad, to break 2 minutes for 800 metres. It's a thing kind of most lads look up to when you're a middle distance runner. So, I would have came out then in the Kerry County Seniors, where I ran in the senior race. I managed to run a 1:58, which was, that was huge for me. It was actually I was taken back by that, to think I broke the 2-minute barrier by 2 seconds, and that was from front running as well, so, I was very, very pleased with that.
I saw that race actually. You were on your toes for the whole lot of it. I mean, once you crossed the line, you collapsed in a tizzy. I don't think you could speak for ages. I mean, what's it like when you finally get that realisation and you look up and I suppose that the clock is there and people are running out and telling you, oh my God, 1:58, blah, 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 blah. What's it like for you? I mean, people race for medals, people race for championships, but time is crucial as well, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah. Time, I suppose, it's a big thing. It's championship races are a different story. They can be tactical and all that. They can be slow, but I suppose for that race I was going out to get time. That's all that was in my head. Now coming out to win a county senior 800 metre title, that was also something. I was happy and pleased with that. But I suppose the main goal was to break 2 minutes, and I broke it by 2 seconds. So it was a big thing for me at the time. But the relief after the race, of course, you're tired when you get over the line, but after that, then you're just, you actually did that there. It's something you're proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you should be proud of it. It's absolutely fantastic. Talk to us about your club. I mean, obviously, our people are on Riocht and people are Tralee. Your club is
Killarney Valley.
Yeah. They opened their new track. Well, I suppose officially opened their new track. I suppose it's been there for a while. How good is that, and how important is that to help you train?
Oh, it's savage. It's a huge asset. I suppose beforehand, we'd have been around fields and things, and there's not the same vibe to it. Whereas, when you can turn up there and train with the boys every night of the year, it's huge. There's huge thanks to everyone around the community and all the fundraising and all that stuff. We really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, do you train with Jason O'Reilly a lot?
Oh, we do. We're good old buddies, all right.
He hardly races you. He's only a 400 metre runner. So he'd never stick your pace, would he?
Yeah, no, look, we're different distances, but we've been friends growing up all our lives, like, so, do you know, we're good buddies at training and stuff, and we train most days together, do the speed work with him and things, and we go up to competitions together, and, you know, we enjoy it together, like.
Jason O'Reilly, welcome to the show. You got your green vest doing something really cool. You represented Ireland in the European Youth Olympics. Speak to us a little bit about that, and the event, of course, sounds the 400 metre medley race. Explain that race to me.
The race, I've never run it in my life, and we went in there without a trial run or anything. So, but we had an idea going in that we were going to break 2 minutes, because it's 1,000 metres altogether.
Explain the race. It's very unique. One runs 100 and the next fella runs 2 and the next one runs 3, and did you run the 400?
I ran the 4, so
you ran half the race for them.
I ran half the race for the boys, yeah. But I was running like the last leg, so I felt a bit of pressure getting the baton, and it was the longest distance, so people could catch me. But it was weird, because when you start off on the bend with 100 metres, and then you pass off to the 200 man, and he runs a straight and a bend, and then the 300 man runs a straight, a bend and a straight, and then I get the baton for 400. I just run one lap, but it's not running, you're sprinting one lap. So to put that, so if you stand up and spin around for 1 minute straight,
right,
that's the feeling you're feeling in the last 100 metres of a 400, so it's not nice, and you just want to get to the end of the line. So the lads running 100 metres, obviously they're very fast, but running a 400 is tough.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, I'll do it, but I was kind of scared going into the race. But
And of course, you got to the line. You didn't collapse or get dizzy. You brought the baton home and in one hand as well, which is quite important. But speak to us about we'll say that was an actual event, which was kind of a cool thing to do. And obviously, you got the green jersey represent Ireland. But your own training for that as well. And where do you see yourself going at your own level?
In my own event, of course, I'm a 400 metre sprinter. I'd love to represent Ireland in an individual event. Of course, I love relays, but it would be great to go myself. That'd be, I suppose, the goal for this season coming. Yeah. Would try go for Ireland in an individual.
And of course, that's what everybody here this evening has. They've represented Ireland at a level. You get kind of a sniff of it, and you want more, obviously. And like you said, you want to do it in your own event, at your own speed, at your own 400 metres as well. How's training going for you?
At the moment, we're only in pre-season, so it's nothing intense. I'm doing something every night, really, where it's band work. It could be easy mobility work. It's nothing hard, but we'll get more into the intense stuff later on in the season. But at the moment, we're just getting strong so we'll last the whole season.
You're going well. Come here to me. 400 and 800. Would you drop down to 400?
Look, I would for the bit of training, alright, I get the speed in the legs before the track seasons, but I don't particularly race 400 at all.
Very interesting. What makes a 400 and you know you're 400? Now some 400 might do 200. You often see in the Olympics somebody going from 2 to 4 and somebody going from 1 to 2, and even people will go from 800 to 1500 metres. Do you kind of naturally know yourself at a certain age that this is for me, this is great to train with, but this is what I'm sticking with?
Yeah, I suppose, like when I was young, I used to love 200 metres, but then as I got older, I would go more into 800, but in between that is, of course, 400, so I kind of knew myself going in I would be a good 400 sprinter, and that's what I see myself doing in the future is 400.
Would you like to go to the Olympics?
I'd love to.
Would you like to go to the Olympics?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, you better stay with us, because we're talking to two guys who have been at the Olympics after the break. Jason O'Reilly, Oisin Lynch and Oisin Spillane on the phone all the way over there in America. Listen, thanks very much, guys. Thanks for sharing your stories. We look forward to certainly following you around the place. I don't think I could run 800 metres in a 158, to be honest with you. I probably survive
156 even.
Oh my God, okay. Well, there's nothing slow about you anyway. 400 I'd probably get around the lap, alright. I wouldn't set any records. But listen, thanks very much for joining us this evening, and the very best of luck to you in your careers, and we hope everything goes well.
Breaking down the weekend sporting action. This is Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry.
Now, my next two guests are Kerry's youngest Olympians. Well, I don't know if they're the youngest, but we're going to say they're the youngest anyway. Both participating, of course, at the Tokyo Games last time out, with David Kinney, of course, taking a top 30 spot in the 20k race walk, and Jordan Lee, who marked his 2020 Paralympic Games in Tokyo by being Ireland's flag bearer for the opening ceremony. Huge honour, I'd imagine. I'll start with you, Jordan. You're here in studio, and David's on the phone. We'll talk to you in a second, David. That experience, getting picked to carry the flag around, I mean, it's such a unique experience anyway. Only one person can do it every 4 years for the country. What was it like when you were told, first of all, and the whole experience itself?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely an experience that's very hard to sum to words. I know Sarah touched on it earlier about her experience at the Worlds, where it's not kind of too dissimilar to mine in that sense, where it's just very surreal, especially when you're given the most prestigious honour there possibly is, lifting the flag of your country, going into the Olympic Stadium as the flag bearer, bowing down in front of the Japanese emperor in front of you then as well, during the games, throughout COVID, a games that's going to go down in history, that's always going to be remembered for that. An amazing experience. I'm always a very confident guy, always a very confident individual in whatever it is that I'm doing, but I gotta say, when it came to the lifting the flag, I was definitely nervous in that regard, to put it nicely.
Yeah, but it's a good nervous, obviously. I mean, you know, it's exciting, you get to do it. It's a thing that's always going to be on YouTube. It's always going to be there, you know, 100 years time. You're still going, nobody's going to take it off you anyway. David, did you experience the Olympic experience at the start, or were you part of the opening ceremony? I know some people didn't participate because their events were on at the same time, but did you get any touch of that, David, when you were over there?
No, unfortunately, I actually missed the opening ceremony, and I missed a lot of the actual Olympic buzz, because just the way we kind of structured our training and our altitude camp, we travelled out after the rest of the team, and we just ran straight up to the race. We were all business, really. We didn't take in much of it at all. No,
I know. Of course, look, Tokyo, David, is so far away. I mean, it was during COVID. I mean, I presume it made it difficult for your family to get out, or did they get out, or how does that family network work when you're kind of COVID and you're probably only following it on Twitter or wherever? Was that difficult for you?
I suppose it probably wasn't as difficult for me as it was for them. I'd been away all year on camps and stuff. I think I might have been in the country for a month, maybe from January up until the Olympics, between different camps. But so I was kind of used to it. But I suppose they would have loved to have been out there, and I suppose the only way they kind of marked the occasion was a bit of a gathering in our house the morning of, with, you know, family and neighbours. I think they've all committed to travelling to Paris anyway, so I think the pressure's kind of on now for me to qualify again.
Well, absolutely. Well, if they're going to Paris, you probably have to go to Paris as well.
Yeah, I'd imagine so, yeah.
The support of the Irish team, and I'll ask this to Jordan as well, but I'll start with you, David. Especially for a younger member, what's it like? Do you have kind of older Irish athletes giving you a bit of help and talk and chat and all that kind of stuff, or are you very much on your own as well?
No, I think that everyone's kind of open to giving advice. I think athletics is all individual sports, but everyone's been through all the same highs and lows. I'm kind of lucky in the sense that I'm in a training group with Brendan Boyce, and then obviously Rob is coaching, so they've been through it all. So I'd have the advice and tips, I suppose, on the daily, and then maybe other team members when you're away on for competitions and stuff would be adding to that as well.
Jordan, your event, of course, is the high jump. I mean, everybody tonight has been running, obviously, and David's race walking. I mean, it's a highly technical event. I mean, you often watch it and you're saying, why can't they clear it? And they've knocked this, and some fella just sails over out of the blue and the whole lot. I presume everybody trains the same, puts the same amount of work and effort into the whole thing. Is it largely mental as well?
Oh, yes, 100%. A huge factor of it is down to your mental sort of capacity to take yourself out of certain situations. It's very different to all other events, really, other than the field events like high jump, long jump, pole vault, all the throws events, because you have a jump and you have to sit down, gather yourself, get your energy again to prepare yourself to jump over another bar. So you got to take yourself out of the situation, whereas I think the difference is for the guys who are running continuously, it's one continuous run. Don't get me wrong, like it's something that's extremely technical and extremely difficult to do. But what I mean is that you're constantly thinking for a continuous period of time, whereas...
And when you're thinking, is that sometimes where things go wrong? Maybe you overthink it, or you think too much, or like you do your jump, you come down, you sit down with all the rest of them when you've cleared it. Are you looking at your competitor? Do you know that they're more confident, or what? Or is it just a case that you just keep yourself to yourself?
Every jumper and every athlete's going to be different, but my approach is to just focus on myself, because you can't beat anybody else without clearing the bar yourself physically anyway. And especially when you're jumping over a bar that's 6-7 inches over your own head, the same height as a car barrier. It's
Is it still very imposing when you see it? You in your head you've jumped these jumps, and you've done them several times at training, or maybe 100 times even, but yet you come to a competition, it's there in front of you. Do you still get the same kind of, it's kind of one of those ones, or do you say, no bother?
I mean, sometimes it kind of depends how you're feeling going into a session, but look, like, I've trained myself physically and mentally to such a standard with the help of my amazing team to not be afraid of those situations, because I'm not trying to be the best in my county or the best in the country. I'm trying to be the best in the world.
Absolutely.
And there's different levels to that sort of athleticism, I suppose, and professionalism. So I try my best not to get scared of those moments. I don't typically anyway. But it's all preparation in regards to those sort of meetings with the bar that really help you to get over that sort of fear factor.
David, you're at the beginning of a long career. I mean, you've done the Worlds, you've done the Olympics, but talk to us about that silver medal that you won over there in, was it Latvia or Lithuania or somewhere like that you won at the Under-23 Championships? It was the first ever medal for an Irish athlete at race walking, which really pushes your sport back into light. What was that like, David?
I suppose it was a massive achievement, and I suppose highlighted by the fact that it was, I suppose, I was the first Irish person to do so. I think in 2019 I got my first Irish cap as such, in the same championships, and I finished 9th that year, and I suppose I was interviewed after the race, and I promised myself a medal. I promised myself I'd be back in 2 years' time for a medal. So it was something which was kind of engraved in my training and my thought process for the following 2 years up until the Under-23s last year, and I suppose I'm just delighted to have kind of backed it up and won a medal on the day.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Jordan, obviously you're looking at the Olympics around the corner. Paris, I presume the family travel over there quicker than they got to Tokyo as well, maybe. What would it mean for you to get to another Olympics, but get to another Olympics in a frame of mind where you're going to compete really, really, like you said, you're in it to win medals. You want to be the best, not in your county, not in your country. You want to be the best in the world. You're a super confident guy. It's a sport that kind of, I suppose, you need your confidence to get into it. Where are you going from here, and how are you going to get to Paris, and what events must you do and all that?
Yeah, definitely. It's very easy to sit here and say that I want to be the best in the world, or I want to qualify for the next Olympics or Paralympic Games. But there's a lot of stepping stones that you got to kind of box off before you get to that point. My next sort of big competition that I'm fully focused on now is World Champs next year, which are actually going to be on in Paris. Mm-hmm. So I'll be seeing quite a bit of Paris. I was actually recently in Paris last weekend as well, so I'll be sick of the place, all for good reasons. But I'm fully focused on Paris at 2023 World Champs. I'm not exactly thinking of the Olympics now at this point in time, because you got to take it.
It's one step at a time, really, isn't it?
One step at a time.
One event
exactly.
at a time, one step at a time, and one height at a time.
Exactly, that's the goal.
Fair play to you. Unfortunately for you, David, it's one step at a time as well, but you walk a lot of steps, don't you? At 20 kilometres, it's a hell of a journey to walk around, and some fellas kind of maybe go around a bit quicker than others, and the whole lot. Your sport is fierce technical, but I love watching it. I love watching those kind of tough conditions. Is it on the mental side as well? Is it battling through that kind of war against yourself and war against your head, and you just have to keep going?
I suppose mentally it's very tough. I'd be lucky in the sense that I've kind of a natural technique, so I wouldn't have to worry about that on the day, the technical side of things. But I suppose it's most courses maybe a 1K loop, so you're facing into a 1K loop 20 times. I think if things don't go to plan, it can get fairly lonely out there. Obviously, when you're up the front and fighting for a medal or fighting for a position in the group, it seems to fly by. But if you're out the back door, it's a whole different experience.
Gets tougher, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
David, listen, thanks very much for joining us this evening. It's great. We love following your career. As I said, you're only at the start, but we're only at the start of Jordan Lee's career as well. Hopefully he might get me into Paris. Well, one of you might get me into Paris, because my wife is mad to go to the Olympics. I'm telling her we won't get a ticket. There's not a hope of us going there. But if we hang on to one of you guys, we might get in the gate or something, or put on a little jacket or something. Listen, the very best of luck to both of you. You're outstanding ambassadors for the sport of athletics. You carry your Kerry jerseys around with you as well, and we really hope that you get on in there. Quick question, Rob Heffernan, is he an insufferable Corkman, David?
It's a good question.
He'd probably answer it himself, would he?
Yeah, he probably would, yeah.
We'll get him on some night and we'll ask him. Listen, guys, thanks very much. That was tonight's show, Athletics. The hour absolutely flew. Nivo Mehani, of course, joined us. Kieran and Seamus O'Donoghue, Kinmare via Kilgarvan, and running